Are you in the market for a new spouse? Want some advice on the best way to find one? We'll show you how to be a good consumer when shopping for a mate right now on It's Your Call. Hey there, everyone. It's great to have you along with us for another edition of It's Your Call. I'm Lynn Doyle, and this hour we have some great advice for you on how to be a good consumer, not just in the grocery aisles, but if you want to walk down the wedding aisle as well. You guys have probably seen Janice Lieberman a million times over the years, first at CNBC, then on Good Morning America, and for the last several years as the consumer correspondent for my favorite, The Today Show, where she gives us all great advice about the buy or the bust of the day. Well, now she's applied all of her years of consumer research with her personal years of searching for Mr. Right into a new book called How to Shop for a Husband, a consumer guide to getting a great buy on a guy. And Janice Lieberman joins us now. Hey, girl, it's great to have you with us.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
I have to tell the folks at home that Janice and I worked together in her youth and in my 30s at CNBC when it first started. So I am particularly pleased to have you as a guest here on It's Your Call. And congratulations on the book.
Thank you, thank you. We just had a reunion. We missed you.
I know.
The beginning of CNBC, people.
I'm sorry I missed it. It was 20 years of CNBC, the ones who started it all, and it was us. We were there at the very, very beginning. And Janice, from the very beginning, was always interested in protecting consumers. Now you have actually applied all of those years, those 20 years plus experience, into this book and being a good consumer when it comes to shopping for a mate. I had to chuckle at it because I really thought that was a great title.
Oh, and some people think it's crass, and how can you think of a man as a commodity? And we say, you know what? Just use the techniques you already know. Most women know how to shop very well. So just use what you know and apply it to getting married, and it works.
Okay, so give me the lowdown on the book. What prompted you to write this?
Well, I had this great career and, you know, fabulous assignments and traveling all over the country, but I didn't have a guy. And I came home and I said, you know what? I need to get married. And where was the time going? And I wanted to have children. And I said, let's treat this as a business. So eventually I realized, you know what? If I shop alone, which is one of the tips in the book, I might be more apt to find someone. So I took myself to a class where I knew there would be a lot of singles by myself, which is not always so easy. Found this cute guy and landed the deal.
And then you shared those suggestions and advice in the book. Is it written in tongue-in-cheek, or do you really think that the principles can be applied to finding a guy?
It definitely has attitude. It has a voice. It is kind of funny, but there's research and there's really practical tips in there that I think, you know, everybody knows it, but if you see it put this way, say, wait a minute, I need to think a little bit more like that. That does make a lot of sense, like come up with a shopping list, or PGHM, perfectly good husband material. It's all there. It's in your head. You just need to apply it the right way.
Do you think that for the most part women are just too fussy or too picky, or they're always finding something wrong with a guy and that's why it takes them a long time to find the perfect mate? Or does the perfect guy not exist?
Oh, he exists. I mean, it's not, he doesn't have to be perfect. We're not perfect, but I see
Wait, we're not?
Well, I am and you are, but excluding the two of us out there.
And we have our Mr. Right.
And they think we're perfect. Not.
They better.
Right. They're taken out of the shopping carts and return aisle.
Exactly.
But, you know, I interviewed a woman. She's beautiful. She's a model in her 40s, and she had 70 things on her list of what she wanted in a man. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm saying you can be choosy, but don't be so crazy picky that there's nobody out there for you. And I think if you look for the right things in a man, you're going to find him. The good values, the common goals, the same ideas on sports and faith and religion. You know, these are things that really bind people and make good partners in the end. That'll make a long-lasting relationship, not just this hot motorcycle guy who's fun for the evening. You know, that's just a waste of your time.
Well, it's funny that because that almost sounds like just plain old common sense. So why do we need to read it in a book? Do we just need to be reminded or have some bullet points that we kind of take out there into the marketplace with us?
I think that you don't want to find yourself in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s saying, I should have thought that way. So in your 20s, you know, the world is your oyster. There's a million guys out there. You hit 30, you're like, what happened? And 40, really what happened? So if you apply...
Let's not talk about 50.
But it's possible. We're not giving up on anybody.
Never give up.
And their second time around, the return rack, we got to hit that too. Plenty of good bargains.
Some of the best bargains, right, are on other people's returns.
Exactly.
It didn't look good on them, but it sure looks good on me.
Nice, and you appreciate it, and he appreciates you.
Good idea. So I'm sure that you guys have some questions for Janice, like, how do you actually admit that you are shopping for a spouse? And do the same tricks for getting a great buy on a guy work on landing a gal? And we just spoke about that return window. What about that? What happens just in case it doesn't work out? I want to know what you think about this premise, so I'm going to invite you to email your thoughts and your opinions to me and any comments that you have for Janice. You can log on to csinphilly.com and then put in It's Your Call or IYC under the search. That'll take you to my webpage where you can then leave me a comment. You can also email me directly right here at the show. It's TCN_IYC at cable.comcast.com. More importantly, though, you can find us on Facebook, MySpace, and YouTube. And that's exactly how I reconnected with Janice. It's so funny because we were friends in the 80s and the early 90s at CNBC when she was working on consumer steals and deals,
right?
And I worked on CNBC Live, which was touted at the time to be the Today Show at night.
It was great,
and we enjoyed it.
It was, and you were wonderful.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then, you know, we moved around. You went to GMA, and I've been around with Comcast and various places. Well, then I saw you on Facebook, and I wrote you, and I said, "Oh, do you remember me?" And I was so flattered that you did.
Oh my gosh, I'm so flattered to be on your show.
And then you wrote the book, so I said, well, let's get together and kind of do this. Well, Facebook is adding a whole new dimension now to the way that consumers are getting information, right?
Oh, everything on the internet. I mean, you don't need any kind of consumer guides anymore because you can just look up anything. Go to Amazon.com and you'll find everything on electronics that you could ever want, plus the best prices. So, you know, everything's changed when it comes to using tools to get the great deal and to really research what you need to know.
Is there a negative aspect to that, though? Because you think about it, everyone has an opinion, and if they don't like a product, it's out there. And if I'm trying to sell a product and people are talking badly about it, you know, you gotta kind of have to take the good with the bad.
But if you compare sites and you keep seeing the same things over and over again and some valid points, I mean, I have a problem with one of my appliances at home, which is a high-end thing, and after the fact, I went onto the Consumer Affairs website and I saw all these other people have those same problems. Had I known, I wouldn't have bought that appliance.
Wouldn't be a washing machine where it leaks, where the water, well, the clothes all smell mildewy, because I had that.
And did you see that other people had the same thing?
I did after the fact. And you know what? I wish I had taken your advice and looked at it beforehand. I just heard the name and thought, oh, it's fantastic. And I didn't. So
bill of goods, right?
Now I'm starting to use the internet in a much more sophisticated way. Well, we are doing things the old-fashioned way, where we are back on the streets, giving people an opportunity to ask Janice questions. We have this little segment that we call Curbside Questions,
right,
where we ask them what they want to ask you about your book. Are you game?
Absolutely.
All right,
throw them at me.
Let's take the first one.
80% of your expectations. Should that be enough to buy, or do you need to wait for 100%?
Oh, if the attraction is there, and that's something that really needs to be the spark. We don't want that 20% to be the non-attraction. But I think, yeah, you got to give a little bit. Are you 100%? You know, really. Let's see what things you can work on, what you can. And we say, you know, look for the perfect black dress at a guy. Somebody that'll take you anywhere, that fits in with your family, that really is going to stand the test of time. That does need a lot of alterations, maybe a hemline here and there, but not a complete overhaul. And that's what you need to look for in a guy.
I loved the comparison to the little black dress, because the ladies who are watching, no matter what your age, you know what we're talking about when it comes to the little black dress. It's something that you can take anywhere, you're comfortable in, you feel like you look great when you have it on.
And it's years it could be in your closet.
And
it's still going to look good.
it can be in your closet for years and years. And that's what you want essentially in a husband, right?
100%. You don't want that trendy item that looks cool one night and then the next day it's old. No.
Well, we all get old. You can't help that.
But you want it to be in fashion.
But not worn
always.
out. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not worn out.
Exactly. Okay, do we have another curbside question for Janice? I think we do.
Should guys be offended that they are being looked at as merchandise?
Ooh. Oh, see, she's young. If they're offended, well, then you don't have to tell them, right? Let them think they're doing the shopping. Let them think that you are the commodity, which you are, and you are the queen, and they should be shopping for you. But you have a plan. You're not going to let this shopping trip go on forever. You know, there's an expiration date. And you need to toss them like old yogurt. If it's, you know, if it lasts too long, what do we need them around for?
Now, again, I asked before about it being tongue-in-cheek, and she basically is asking a question that was in the back of my mind. Is like, wait a minute, are guys going to be offended by this and saying that, you know, they're literally, you have a shopping list and you are